So let's get this started, my doers and duets. The first thing that I usually work on is my chest. So lately, because I've been doing so much back workouts, I've actually had to do a lot more chest workouts to balance it out. Now, a lot of guys love bench press because that's the way manhood is measured in the gym. But what I actually suggest to you guys is that you should do dumbbell incline presses. So I first start off by doing a little quick warm up, usually about 8 to 10 reps, just something to get my joints going so that I can continue on into my workout. Now, I choose to do incline dumbbell bench press just because when you're using dumbbells, it's a lot easier on the shoulder, because when you have a barbell, it also kind of fixes your shoulder into a certain position that they're not necessarily comfortable with. So your range of motion is a little bit limited when you have a barbell. So that's why I use incline dumbbell bench press. Now, this helps basketball players, and it only affects your basketball shot if you do too much of it. Like I was saying, you got to make sure that you also work out your muscles that balance it out. For me, I was working out too much of my back and not enough of my chest. So if you're doing any of these, you want to also make sure that you add in some exercises for the back. I like the goblet squat just because it reminds me a lot of the front squat, which is one of my favorite squat exercises. But this is also really beneficial because it teaches you how to do the proper squat form. And I like using this with a lot of my young athletes just because, again, it teaches them the proper form and it doesn't load too much on the spine. It doesn't load the spine. Therefore, it's a lot easier on the back, and they're able to really just get comfortable with that position and learn to hold the weight in front of them and control their movement as they go down, because I don't want them to crash down, creating imbalances and having injuries later on down the line. And speaking of back, because this is easier on the back, I jump straight into another exercise, which is a back exercise, and it's a simple one. It's pull-ups. Pull-ups are great, especially for somebody like myself who's trying to play basketball again. This is really good for basketball players because it helps you get more stability and also helps your core. But because it's a back exercise, it really allows you to kind of get better with rebounds. And one thing that I used to be good in high school when I played basketball is rebounding. And part of it is just because genetically I was gifted with lats. But this is a good exercise for your lats, good way to work out your back, and then also a good way to get a core exercise in. Once I finished that and I got down, started doing an exercise called pull-throughs. Now, pull-throughs, these are really good because you're learning a way to do a deadlift, but it's a lot easier on your back. Now, the important thing with these is you want to make sure that you hip hinge. So you got to make sure that you're trying to pretend like you're boxing somebody out if you're playing basketball. And this benefits your go muscles. So if you find yourself, if you're on a basketball court, soccer field, baseball, football, you're going to find yourself in the athletic stance. And these are beneficial for it because it teaches you how to really use your glutes and your hamstring and drive with your hips. So what you want to do, what helps a lot of times, is you don't want to round out your back. You want to keep your back straight. And what helps is to actually just straighten your arms, pin them towards your armpit, and then just keep your arms straight and let the band or the cable, but in this case it's a band, pull you through using your hips to extend all the way and lock in your hips. As you keep doing this more, you're going to start feeling your butt and also your hamstring. And this is really good again because it helps people who tend to have back issues to really learn how to use their hips and not to use their lower back. Like I was mentioning, I needed to work a little bit more on chest exercises, so I decided to use resistance bands. Now, because I don't have a cable machine in this gym, what I decided to do is just some chest flies. So I put some bands up against the fence and I basically just started to lean forward, and what I'm doing is creating kind of like a bear hug, coming to the center, getting a good squeeze on my chest. And this is a great exercise for your chest. And you, again, for basketball players, you want to make sure that you're not doing too much of this. So if you're going to do this, you got to make sure that you work on the opposite muscles. And once I finished that, speaking of opposite muscles, I went back to band face pulls. Band face pulls are really great because now you're working the opposite muscles that I was just working when I was doing the chest flies, and I'm working the rear delt, which prevents me from having rounded shoulders. And it's ideal to do this in between chest exercises. So for example, if we go back to the example where I was doing chest flies, if I did one set of chest flies, then I should turn around and do one set of face pulls. Now in this case, I just didn't want to move the band too much, but use at your own discretion and just kind of introduce it. You can do it your style, where you're going 4 straight sets of chest and then 4 straight sets of face pulls. Once I finished that, then I had to go to work on those front muscles. So it's important for me to also work on more shoulder stuff as well, just because that's what's going to allow me to have more arm action, especially when I'm working on my vertical jump. So I do a kneeling lateral raise. Why I do a kneeling lateral raise is because sometimes when you're raising the dumbbells and you're standing, you're going to start swinging your hips and kind of throwing your legs into the power so that you can get the weight up. So that's why I suggest, if you're ever doing lateral raises, you don't want to do a weight that's too heavy, because that's a common mistake. You actually want to use weights that are pretty light but still challenging if you control the tempo that you're going down, that you're doing it in. And also, if you're a point guard like Victor Oladipo or Dwayne Wade or Russell Westbrook that likes to drive to the hoop, a lot of times you're going to find yourself lowering and dropping your shoulders into the defender. And if you're not strong enough and you're running into a big guy, man, you're going to lose that battle. So this is very important to build those rounded out shoulders so you can be stronger and be able to handle more contact. Now, a bonus thing that I've been doing is I've been doing floor presses. Why I've been doing floor presses as an exercise is, again, like I mentioned, I was doing too much rowing stuff. So I started to have an internal shoulder knee pain at the front, where my shoulder would start to hurt when I would do things like heavy rows, or even sometimes when I would do weighted pull-ups. So I needed to make sure that I work on the front muscles again, and this is a bonus. It's something that you should consider doing if you ever have the same issue, because when you're doing floor presses, it only works the front muscles, and so when you come down, unlike a bench press, because your elbows are touching the ground, it doesn't allow for your rear delt, which is your back shoulder muscles, your rear delt, to be activated. So it only works the front muscles and it ends up working your chest. So this is just a simple way that I wanted to talk about some of the exercises that I've been doing, because I was a little bit sick, and I hope you appreciate it. I'll continue on. Anyways, hopefully you were able to see a few ideas on how you can actually still get a full workout in. I apologize that I wasn't able to be more engaging during the workout. I was a little bit sick, so I couldn't talk as much, but now I'm sounding a lot better. Right now, I'm currently traveling, and I'm gonna be vlogging some of the stuff that I'm gonna be doing, and I hope to actually release a lot more videos this week to make up for my inactivity the past week while I was sick. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully it helps you in you getting a full body workout that you can actually use for basketball, and other athletes can do this too. Just make sure that you're working on that balance, because that's the key of these things, is you want to work a full body routine so that you get a good intensity, which is helpful for me while I'm trying to get fat loss and maintain muscle. So this is the exercise that I've been doing. So if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're already a doer, I appreciate you. You keep this channel strong. I'll catch y'all next time. Thanks for checking me out.